Hi, everybody. We welcome you at the Legal Fest for the second time online. Please meet our guests today, Ondrej Materna and Gary Úton from Legito, who will host the Contract Automation Shape the Way You Work event. During the event, you are able to ask questions via the Q&A tab or in the chat section. The questions will be answered afterwards. This event is followed by the presentation concerning employment law and the immunity card in Hungary. Feel free to join us there as well. You can find the Zoom link in the chat section. Let's get back to our fireside chat with Ondrej and Gary. They both work at Legito, which is a company in the legal tech industry focusing on document automation. Ondrej is a computer engineer and lawyer. After finishing his studies in the Czech Republic and the United Kingdom, he founded Legito and works as the CEO of the company, while Gary Úton is the chief sales officer of the firm with a demonstrated experience in finance. Regarding our event, Ondrej and Gary will guide us into the field of document automation in the form of a fireside chat. I suggest that we started. The first question is for the both of you. How did you get into document automation?
You want to go first, Ondrej?
I'll let you go first.
Okay, I go first. Okay. When I first got involved in document automation, it was crumbs. It was probably late 1990s, early 2000. You know, I don't know if the term even legal tech even existed back then. You know, we really what we were trying to do then. I joined a company called Capsoft UK, and they were a distributor of the first document automation company. The product was called Hot Docs, and yeah, that was my first interaction with it. I was. We were really the first people who were trying to introduce document automation to law firms. We would try and go and speak to the largest law firms because they are very document focused. So we thought they would be the most obvious people to go focus. But the first challenge that we had was we realized that they were they had challenges to understand about saving time when they charged per hour. So that was the first kind of automation hurdles that we had to kind of come across. But really, my time at first introducing Hot Docs, then that started to evolve as people looking to be a lot more kind of efficient. But I had my first 9 years working for Capsoft UK. We had very good success in selling this product to a lot of the law firms in Europe. And then in 2009, we actually ended up buying the Hot Docs business, which was up to that point owned by LexisNexis, and really started pushing this technology out. And we had great success in there, and we grew that business by 500% before exiting that business in 2017. And we had pretty much in certain states in North America, every lawyer using that technology. But that was the first, going back, I say, it's a long time since I've been trying to promote this technology to the legal sector.
Thank you, Gary. Perfect. My story is a little bit shorter. I'm involved in document automation from 2014. And basically, as Christian said, I studied law. And I studied also computer science, so kind of founding a legal tech company was the only choice I can have with this combination of education. And we originally started as a provider of ready-made automated templates. But over the time, as we were developing the software and making it more sophisticated, we realized that we are more like software company, and we start offering the software for everyone, so everyone can automate their own legal documents and use it either externally or internally. Depends on their choice. Previously, and during my studies, I work in a law firm. So I understand the industry. I understand the daily routine of lawyers and daily tasks of lawyers, which definitely helped me to understand what two lawyers would like to have or would need. And I basically apply those experiences when we have still been developing our Legito software.
Thank you for the see that the reasons behind you are in document automation. Now, my question would be to Gary that why should businesses be involved in automation?
I think it's really been really interesting over the years of my involvement in this technology. Like I say, it's kind of fundamentally with a tool like automation, then it's obviously a massive saving of time. We have plenty of examples of customers such as like PwC who use Legito. They have over 8,000 users using it in 35 different countries. And really what they're seeing after implementing something like Legito is a time saving of 90% in creating all their kind of audit documentation. And what does that mean in real terms? That's like an hour and a half saved with each document that they're creating with Legito. But it isn't just the speed where automation can help, it's the reduction in mistakes, so risk mitigation. And really, it's things such as errors of inclusion, like that typo being added or that wrong date being added, but it's also errors of exclusion, like missing key supporting documents. But there's so many benefits to document automation. There's even a lot of hidden benefits from it. I remember this project that I was involved in one of the biggest banks in the world, where they had like 10,000 users using for creating all their credit documentation. And one of the kind of benefits that they even had was by creating these gold standard templates. So people were encouraged to use them because of obviously the cost savings, but also making sure they're using the right clauses. But it also stopped bad habits coming, like starting off with, if a customer came into them and the bank manager is interacting with them and they're asking for what seems like a similar loan agreement to one they did maybe 18 months ago, then instead of the person maybe taking, I'll just take that Word document and I'll just make the changes myself, because I know that by going into the credit documentation team, that I know I'll have to wait 6 weeks for that document to come back. So, what you end up getting is you get this kind of benefit from the end users wanting to go to a particular location to fill in a template because they know that they can complete a lot of this documentation themselves. You get the migration of risk and you get the more of the kind of standardization. But there's massive amounts of benefits within using something like automation, more so than just saving time, which of course means saving costs. It's the migration really of that risk of making these mistakes. And documentation being created.
So we see now the benefits of document or contract automation. Well, we use this word document automation. How should we imagine it? What is document automation, Ondrej?
So first of all, document automation, as any automation in general, it replaces tasks. It does not replace people. So document automation does not replace lawyers or other experts working with documents. Document automation helps them to finish each of the tasks faster than if it would be done manually. So I would say document automation is process that will help people working with document reach the finish line faster. We can divide document automation more or less into two categories. Document assembly, which is basically about creating a content of legal documents and contracts mostly more efficiently and more precisely. And the other part is a process automation. In other words, after the first draft of a contract or other legal document is finished, then automating what happened next with the documents. Either there is certain like review, certain workflow, approval processes, signing processes, some recordings of the documents, storage of the documents, and even analyzing huge data regarding documents. Yeah, so both of those parts, document drafting automation as well as document lifecycle automation, are important, save time, and the best thing about it is to combine them together. In other words, if we can extract content from documents and use it for better processes that are happening with documents after, let's say, the document is initially drafted.
Thank you, Ondrej. So we now can see the definition of document automation, which can be divided into two categories. And my question would be to Gary that if a company would like to have such automation, what roles are needed for this successful implementation?
Yeah, so typically there's kind of I'd say three critical roles that must exist for success. So I'd say the first one would be like the project owner, so sometimes referred to as the project sponsor. And this is the person who owns the project, is responsible for the general oversight. And that project is usually completed on a schedule. Usually there's a executive within the business who's the champion for the implementation of the technology. And this person not only project manage the implementation directly, that role is sometimes filled by another individual, but ultimately responsible for making sure that all the project participants have the resources to complete their responsibilities. The next role I'd sort of say is the subject matter expert. This is the individual that understands the content that's going to be automated. And there may be maybe one or maybe more, you know, again, with looking at the kind of the PwC, you know, they've got probably about 10 people or so, or the subject matter experts. They can articulate and document how the documents are going to be automated. And they can review them and they can how they need to be automated. And they provide the data points and the business rules that should be applied to the document templates. And then you have the kind of the template authors or the developers, and these are the individuals who applies the document automation technology to convert the gold standard documents into the templates using the information provided by the subject matter expert. They own the automated templates. Sorry, they own the automated templates and any modifications made to them. And they use the document automation technology to apply the data points and the business rules to create the templates that they create. A common question that comes up arising during the course of a document automation project is, what skill set does the template author need? In my experience, that person does not need to be overly technical, but they need to be able to think logically and be capable of understanding how to use the tool set available in the project document automation software. Legito does an excellent job of simplifying and even suggesting logic when creating a template. However, even with such a powerful toolset, a complex document often requires a complex understanding. In addition to the intuitive, helpful template design, Legito also offers free of charge online educational courses to help the template authors understand all the tools in the Legito's toolbox. I'd say those are kind of the three main areas, you know, the template authoring, you know, the developer, you've got the subject matter expert, and then you got that kind of project owner overseeing it.
And as you mentioned that Legito provides some kind of assistance for the process, how long does it last? During the whole cooperation or only in the beginning?
Really, that can kind of depend. So you've got what we have is within Legito, we've got this whole we can take them through, hold the hand through the whole process. So this could be us not only helping build build the templates, but also maintaining the templates. Of course, we also have partners out there, like such as Deloitte, and we've got other kind of specialist partners like Psych, who can also help with that as well. But we also have people who have very low touch with Legito. I mean, we're talking about people who go to our website, they can maybe download a version of Legito, do some of these online courses, and we never touch them. We never have any kind of interaction with them, apart from them, occasionally contacting us for maybe some support or telling how good Legito is. So it really does depend, and it really depends on the kind of projects that they're looking to be involved in. What we also see is you have some sort of organizations, some sort of in-house legal departments who are sometimes they're absolutely swamped with work, and sometimes what they need is they need some help to get through this backlog. So that's sometimes what we may do is look at some of these more frequently used documents. Maybe we could take them, create them into a template, and then have other people within organizations complete these documents that they know are going to be approved and things like that. So that helps that bottleneck. And really, ultimately, then maybe they can start taking on building some of these templates and maintaining them themselves. Or alternatively, they can leave us to build them and help with that bottleneck. But where you get to at the end of it is you have the in-house legal team, for example, who will spend less time firefighting, and we all have these kind of rushes at the end of each quarter to try and get documents out, because the sales guys are pressing to get that contract sent out or know what that status is. Ultimately, it's about freeing up so much time for doing self-service, and also being able to help the in-house legal counsel be able to kind of offer more kind of assistance that isn't involving drafting, so giving more advice to the business.
Thank you. So we've seen that Legito offers support and the definition and the needed roles of contract or document automation. Now, the exact implementation, I would ask about it, Ondrej. What are the stages of document automation projects?
In general, there are 4 stages. The first stage is kind of about identifying use cases in your organization. It's all about making a good internal research, among different departments, different teams, different use cases to identify where the automation might be needed, where the documents are maybe stuck, or where in which departments there is a lot of tedious, repetitive, routine work done with the documents, and it's very important to do the research, like through the entire life cycle or through the entire process of documents, not just the drafting or not just the approval processes, but the entire process from very beginning till the very end. And based on such a research, the result of the research should be, let's say, the list of documents and the processes done with documents that are suitable to be automated. Of course, in general, it's the best documents for automation are the ones that are the longest, the most complex ones, and at the same time, the organization use them very frequently. But these are the documents with the best return of investment in automation. And then from that point, you can go lower and lower to documents that are maybe every size and company use them from time to time. Of course, if there is any type of contract or other document that is used like 5 times a year in a company, is probably not worth to automate the drafting of such a document, because the automation can be more complex than the benefits that the automation brings, which are higher with the higher frequency of usage of such an automated contract or other document. Second stage, it's about choosing the right solution, the right tool. Here I would really recommend to do some kind of proof of concept or pilot project that where you take some of your, it doesn't have to be long document or complex process, but something really that is hard to do, or that where you can really see if there won't be any like limits of the automation. So rather than choosing as a pilot project a process or document or contract that take a lot of time to automate, rather choose something smaller but with a lot of complexity, because if you can automate complex use case, even if it is small one, then you will be able to automate any complex use case. And based on the pilot project, you can then choose the right solution that you will buy. I mean the right software you will buy. Then the third phase is about the implementation, about automating contracts, automating other types of documents, automating workflows, approval processes, automating the the way you will work with document records, or even like some electronic signing of documents and how it fits into the entire process. And the fourth stage is all about adoption, because in the implementation stage, mostly the power users, the people that are automating the documents and the processes, and work with the tool together with with those domain experts that Gary mentioned. But the adoption, that's really the phase when the end users, let's say the users that will most frequently use those automated templates, and that will use those that will manage the life cycle of the contracts and other documents in the system, will start working with the tool. And this is a different group of people, and with a different technical enthusiasm or skill set, and these are really the ones that that will use the system on daily basis. So it's also very important to give them certain certain initial introduction to the tool and to the processes and how the processes are automated, and actually work with them, listen to their feedback, because no version 1.0 is perfect, and it's all about constantly improving the automated documents, the processes, and giving those people kind of voice, so they know if they don't like something how something is automated, or somehow some process is designed, so the document can be redesigned, the process can be redesigned in a way they will be happy with the system. So it's also important to choose a tool that that is not let's say where the solutions are not so-called hard-coded now, and we are following that philosophy. I'm a big fan of no-code solutions, where basically people can automate contracts and workflows using no coding, just drag and drop elements, and basically clicking by mouse in the user interface. because such solution is very easy and therefore quick and cheap to update. So anytime you will need to add certain, you will automate certain clause or you will need to add certain clause to the automated document, set up some new logical dependencies in your documents or in your processes. You can do it very easily. You don't need to wait for any legal department, and you can improve the system frequently and basically with no need of investing a lot of money into adjusting the solution.
So it can be concluded that document automation is beneficial. There's a well-functioning implementation process. The stages are clear. And what does the market say? What do you think about the future of document automation? And I'm asking this from both of you.
I think it's really interesting. Again, like I've been involved in this market for like 21 years, and I still think that there's still massive amounts of adoption still to be had. Despite lots of companies are certainly are active in it, I think it's really quite interesting that a lot of the large, like I say, the large accountancy firms and like Deloitte are very active in this area, looking to help all their customers out with this contract lifecycle management. We certainly work very closely with Deloitte, and it's really interesting about how many people they have deployed in this kind of area. I think also looking at kind of automation in general, I think a lot of, and I look now at the in-house legal teams, quite often they were kind of a bit neglected on the technology wise compared to perhaps the rest of these businesses who, they forced them to use the big systems that suited 90% of the employees, but the legal departments always had their very unique technology requirements, and quite often they would go to their law firm, their trusted law firm, to get advice on their technology. But again, like I say, so quite often they were neglected. But I think that's changing. They seem to be given more budget, and obviously with a lot more SaaS and no-code platforms coming onto the market, then they feel a lot more confident in having their own technology to serve their own business challenges. So I think that's going to evolve. I think on the law firm side of things, they're definitely still that trusted advisor for giving them legal services. And I think they're also going to be a lot more involved in giving them technology advice as well, to help them, because their requirements are more similar to some of the requirements within a law firm. And the in-house counsel have always got pressure to reduce the amount of money they spend on outside counsel. So with this new technology is making things more efficient and less mistakes and things like that, then that's the way that I see from a business, more assistance for the larger corporates from the law firms and the big accountancy firms in helping them with their technology choices, and also on the implementation of this, maybe doing a lot of the work in creating some of these templates and things like that. That's how I kind of see over the how the market's changed more recently over the past few years. I'm sure Ondrej will be able to add more about on the technology side of things, about what we're working on to make things easier for adoption.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Yeah, I think, and I already mentioned it, I see the huge race of no-code or sometimes low-code solutions that basically does not require any programming skills to actually automate something, whether it's document or the follow-up management process. The other trend I see is a platformization, means that software like Legito or different ones are programmed to be highly customizable. So basically customers can change anything in the software, and they can really like adjust or modify the software to their needs, because each organization is somewhat unique. So basically software should match the needs of the company, so that the company doesn't have to change itself because of the software. The other trend I see is in general, like in web services, web applications. I intentionally does not mention cloud because the cloud is, despite this, it's used in many different ways and meanings. Web-based, browser-based software like internet application does not always has to be a cloud. So so I see a big trend in legal tech and elsewhere, of course, to basically do not install anything to computers and rather use web browser, internet-based internet applications. And also, the document automation at its beginning, it started as kind of a plugins to, or add-ons to Microsoft Word, and of course it works great from certain perspective. From the other perspective, it has severe limitations because it was locked inside Microsoft Word. So I think that's past, and the future is in fully web-based solutions. And the last trend I see is our integrations. So basically, instead of doing like automating separate tasks that does not know about each other, companies try to integrate and connect every single task that needs to be done and automate it in the process. So to this time-consuming repetitive data entry that people basically copy and paste or rewrite the same data into one part of the system, other part of the system, or to completely different system can be avoided, and basically we can get rid of those manual data entries into different systems.
Thank you both for your thoughts. I believe that this conversation was very insightful, and now I suggest that we move on to the questions of the audience. Firstly, Peter asks that whether do you happen to have some facts and features on how more effective a company operation becomes via using contract automation? Gary?
Yeah, certainly. I covered a little bit on. I covered a little bit of that on. I covered a little bit of that on that on when I talked about PwC. We have a selection of case studies on our website, and most of the people, once they create these templates, then it's pretty consistent. You'll see from a selection from law firms to PwC to real estate companies, they all talk about 90% saving in time. And it's not just that initial drafting of that document that they save time. It's also the save time in review. If you know that only certain parts of the document are going to change and be able to see these changes on the screen, the amount of time you've got to spend on review is halved. That's quite frequently what we also hear back from, is that saving in time. So on review, and actually, if you actually talk to a lot of people who are very heavily involved in the document world, from auditors at these big accountancy firms, or they talk about the amount of documents that they got to read, the amount of words that they've got to read. So anything that can help in cutting down that review time and making sure that none of the silly mistakes, like I mentioned with the inclusions or exclusions of documents being missing, is all that saving of times. And like you say, you can see all these kind of cost savings on our website with all these examples of various videos and case studies and things from there. And you can see this sort of, but I would say in general, at least a 90% saving in time.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. I would just add that it's not all about time savings. Of course, it's the key benefit, but the other important benefit is the decrease of amount of logical clerical errors, basically mistakes made in the documents itself, in their content, or in the approval processes, signing processes, authorization to to enter into the contract. So and that's about the all of that is about mitigation of the risks, which is very hard to calculate to get to one number, but it's also very important important aspect of that. And in general, we have certain like return of investment calculators of document automation, and basically our customers measure the average time their employees spend by drafting the contracts manually, and then they let them, or they let different employees to create the same contract in Legito or in general in automation tool, and basically they can find, let's say, the average difference, average time saved per one contract, and then they usually know how much contracts of that type they create per year, and they simply multiply that number, and that's the time saving they will have per each one template or automated document or contract. And then basically this number can be multiplied by average hourly costs of the employees that are dealing with the contracts, and they got the cost savings. In addition to that, and it's not that easy already, but still some approximation is possible. It also saves time on, as I mentioned, on document reviews, on negotiation, and on all the approvals and the processes of storing the documents, and this needs to be added to the time savings and cost savings needed to initially on that initial automated drafting of the initial drafts of the contract.
I remember sitting with a top five, one of the top 5 largest banks in the world before, and it was with this create documentation team. And I sat down with this person, and before they had a document automation tool, they could maybe create 2, or on a good day 3 of these facility of lending letters, facility letters that would go out on a good day. After they had a automation tool, they could do, if they wanted, 20 in that day. But that wasn't where they saw the benefit. When they compared how they did things, they had 2 people. They had one person who had the automation tool and the person who didn't have the automation tool. And they then did a review of that document, and they found that the person who created the document with the automation tool had 0 mistakes in it. The one who had done it how they've been doing it for the past 20 years or even longer, they had 10 errors in them. Now, some of these errors, like kind of Ondrej highlighted, clerical errors, quite minor, but they were errors in it, and they had some of them who would be more serious if you're doing that sort of quantity. So yeah, it's that type of metrics are sometimes hidden by putting in it. Look at the top line as in, oh, I can now do 20, which they'll say amazing kind of cost saving, but it's that mitigation of risk, as Ondrej mentions there, that's the real saver of time for these companies like these giant banks.
Thank you both for the answer. So we can see that they're both quantitative and qualitative beneficials of the automation process. Now I would move to the question of Zsolt. He asked whether there are differences in openness to automation comparing different geographical areas. Do you have different marketing strategies? Who are the early adopters and who are lagging behind? Ondrej, would you start?
Sure. In general, it's company by company, and mostly person by person. It's really about personality and the willingness to innovate of every individual manager or team leader or manager of the entire department or some executive responsible for certain departments. We meet with one company and they said, yeah, it's all perfect. We all, it's all possible. We see the benefits. We will do it. We will assemble the team and we start with the pilot. Then we meet with a different company, basically the same time of the company, they do the same things, they are about the same size, same amount of resources, and then everything is a problem, nothing is possible. And yeah, so I would not like to generalize this way. From my experience, it's really about the personality of the leader and how the leader is like really interested in innovations, because these innovations and automation, digitalization, these are like the buzzwords. These are the like the terms that have been using all the time by all the companies. But some companies are real about it, and for some companies that's just a marketing narrative or marketing position, how they want to be seen. But if but I can say definitely that let's say the industries, so it's like financial services, real estate industry, any human resources, agencies, staffing agencies, basically anything with the HR. These are let's say the most interested in document automation. Of course, then sometimes law firms are interested, as well as accounting specialists and auditors. And in terms of departments, I think the procurement, sometimes called sourcing or compliance departments, are the ones that are the most interested in document automation, because they are the ones that deal with document on daily basis, and not only the drafting but also the execution and approvals of the documents and renewals of the contracts. And they closely cooperate with the legal department, that are the ones that need to create those automated templates with all the legally correct options. And also sales departments, HR departments are the ones that have been leveraging the benefits of document automation the most, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I'd also quickly add here on that, because I'm conscious on time, and I know there's other questions we want to go through. I would say for the geographic locations, traditionally the US, UK, and probably Australian market have been very active in automation, document automation for quite some time. There've been a lot of exposure in these markets. Like I said, there was initiatives that we got involved in, that we would pre-create some of the more used documents and embed it in with the technology that I was involved with before. So that allowed the mass market people to be aware of such technologies in the legal sphere. We did deals with state bars in certain states in America where every lawyer was able to get an automation tool, and also get some pre-created templates. So get that exposure to this technology so it was even existed. The technology that I was involved in was heavily involved in the English language, so that was perhaps why these early adopter, these companies, these countries were exposed to this type of technology nice and early. And then once we could work with within different language sets, which Legito is very good at. Legito, we've got customers using in Japanese and English and all sorts of things. And Ondrej usually says it's, if we don't have one of the languages, which be quite surprised. If we don't, then it's like a week or two, and we've got like a localized version of Legito. So that's one thing I would say is there are certain areas, but that's maybe historically connected to what technologies were available to have it working in local languages. And that's a problem we don't have now.
Thank you, Gary. Then you answered another question as well by mentioning the language barriers in Hungary. So I would skip this question. And
that's basically in general, like the language is it's a question we get pretty frequently, but in general, the language doesn't matter at all. A legal system in the given country doesn't matter at all. We know that it's possible to automate contracts and other documents in English, according to the US or English law, as good as Hungarian contracts according to the Hungarian law, and of course in Hungarian language, as the contracts in Japan according to the Japanese law. So basically, the language and the legal system are irrelevant for document automation.
Thank you. And whether the language is irrelevant, the size of a country, like Hungary is a small country, and there are not a lot of clients. How does it affect, for example, the appearance of contract automation software in Hungary from, for example, Legito?
Gary, do you want to answer the question?
No, absolutely no problem with using Legito in Hungary or a country like Hungary. I think it says we've got customers using it in about 50 different countries and things like that. So there really isn't. And I think one of the things that certainly what certainly helped with the development, I'd say the technologies available now to help with language translations are really good. So that's helped us with evolving our product. Also having like a team that we have based in the Czech Republic, where we're used to kind of English and the Czech language, and knowing that how critical it is to have dual language functionality, that's been built into our product right from the start. So that's what makes things a lot easier for these for helping other countries picking up this technology. We're good for that.
Yeah,
thank you.
I would say we have several customers in Hungary. They've been doing great. They've been automating super cool documents and contracts. So yeah, I don't see any difference.
Thank you for the answer. And now we will have our last question due to time remaining. It concerns Legito. Peter wrote that thanks you for your previous answer. Under their question, whether I'm missing from most CLM system is post-signing management assistance, e.g. reminders on interim deadlines, automated notification on upcoming tasks, or other contact renewals. Does Legito have this function or plans to have it?
Yeah, this is out of the box functionality within Legito. This is already built into the technology.
Yeah, it's one of those things I've mentioned, like entering the same data. You send the data into the contract when the contract is going to expire, and then you need to put it into a different system so its system notifies you, so you don't forget to prolong the contract. Basically with Legito, we automatically extract such deadlines, for example, in the post-signing management, as a part of post-signing management, from documents drafted in our platform. Automatically, set the reminders within our lifecycle management section of our software, and the system automatically automatically notifies you when there is a need to to create an amendment or to some letter of prolongation or these things. And we can even again reuse the data to create this amendment based on the data entered into the original contract. We have all those analytics parts that allows you to analyze the signed documents, signed contracts. So yeah, I agree that it does not end with execution of the contracts. There is a lot more things to do after the contract is signed. So yeah, it's great that you think about it this way, and I 100% agree with you.
Thank you for your answers. I lied previously. I have one more question. What do you think about the compatibility between contract automation softwares? So one company uses Legito, other company uses something else, and they work together. How do they work together? Gary?
I think if you look at some of the bigger organizations, it's not unusual for you go to one of these giant, I always call them like cities, that how big some of these companies are. But it's not unusual that they have applications that have elements of document automation in them. I remember I went and saw a bank and they had 32 different document automation tools, but none of them would have been what I would describe what Legito is, which, they'll have elements of maybe simple automation or something built into them. So we can, of course, integrate. We've got a push API and a REST API. We can integrate with most other applications, so it's not uncommon for companies to use some big system that has very basic automation, but the requirements for a particular area of that business requires more advanced document automation. And that's when they would kind of work with something like Legito. You would be able to handle, not only we can handle the simple stuff, but we can also handle the really complicated stuff as well. And then once you've created that document, or maybe it's been approved, and you can then push it back into the bigger system from that way. So that's maybe one way where we would work it. It'd be quite unusual if you've got a big organization who's already got like a advanced document automation tool and then looking to take another one working beside it, maybe for kind of a different particular project. Again, Legito's very easily to deploy because it's a SaaS-based product and things like that, then maybe easier on that front. But I would tend to say it requires on that kind of business requirement, why they would be looking for a more advanced document automation tool. There are maybe historical tools as well in the market that are no longer are struggling for other features and they're not evolving. That's a reason for maybe replacing one. But I would say that's mainly looking at something like Legito, which is easy to deploy, easy to set up, easy to use, and using the latest technologies to integrate with other systems is probably where it's more likely to be. I don't know if Ondrej have got anything else to say on that.
I think you said it all. Maybe I just would, add that usually the provider of services offers a contract to a customer. So it really depends on the position, and also from experience of our customers, basically. If they are service providers, they are expected to send their contract to the customer, so they don't send it in PDF by email. They simply share the link in Legito, and there is no problem to do that. So I would say if companies use different systems or different tools, the tool of the service provider is used. So clients in that contractual relationship, the clients use the tools of service providers.
Well, thank you. It was the last question. So I would like to grab the opportunity and thank you again for the chat and for your answers. The Zoom link of the next event, which is about the immunity card, can be found in the chat section or in your email inbox if you registered. Have a look at the other events of Legal Fest and see you soon, hopefully offline. And then thank you for your attendance. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.